Okay, so this is the correction video for quiz A, 3-1A. And so for each question, I'm going to go over the question, and then I'm going to basically pause the video, and there's a problem on the paper that you have to try. And you have to try every question, even if you got the original one correct. So number 1, which of the following equations written in point-slope form could be the equation for the line in the given graph below? And 1, you can just graph all of these equations as relations, and you can see which one matches. However, I'm going to point out that, remember, the number in front of the parentheses is your slope, and this is a very steep slope. So that means I need a number bigger than 1, so it could be this or it could be this. But these two are out. And then the point, remember, it's the opposite sign, but x and y. So the point here is 2, 1, and the point here is 1, 4. So if I plot the points 2, 1, and 1, 4, I can see that my answer is C. But again, on this one, you could just type them into the calculator and see which one matches. Number 2, which equation in standard form represents the table below? So on this one, I'm going to just review the calculator skill, where if you go to a graph page, you can type in, hold on, let's go to a graph page. You can delete the equal sign, pick a relation, and I'm going to type in answer choice A. So 7x minus 2y equals 20. And when I graph it, in order to check my points, I press menu 5, 1, and I'm going to type in the x value from the table, so negative 10, and if it gives me negative 45, I'm going to keep going. So 0 gives me negative 10, 2 gives me negative 3, and 12 gives me 32. So my answer here was actually A, but I'm going to show you a different way. You could have found the y-intercept on the table. And remember, when we have an intercept, one of the things is 0. So here my x value is 0. So if I cover up my x, I have negative 2y equals 20, and I divide and I get negative 10. If I were to practice that on all the rest of them, here I have a positive 10. Here I have a fraction. It doesn't simplify. So it's negative 20 over 7. And here I also have a fraction. It's just the positive version. Okay? So 2 ways you could have done that one. Use your intercepts. This particular question was the one that I omitted from the grade, but I'm still going to make you practice it. If you have a slope of negative 5/4, that has to be the first thing in front of the parentheses. So here I can only get rid of B. And then this is my x1, y1, and my formula was right over here, and you're going to be given that on the STAR test. So you don't have to memorize it, but you do have to use it. And you would put them in. So this should become a positive 2 inside, so that would be out, and that would be out. And a positive 2 and then a negative 7. So D was your answer. Now, I am also going to tell you that if you can figure out the slope as the negative 5/4, you can type all of these into the calculator and see which one goes through this point, just like we did on number 2. Number 4, what are the x and y intercepts? Well, if I'm trying to find an x-intercept, that means y equals 0. So if that goes away, I'm left with 5x equals 45. I divide, and I get 9. If I'm trying to find my y-intercept, that means the x value is 0. So I'm left with negative 3y equals 45, and I divide, and I get negative 15. So I needed a 9 and a negative 15. And then we have to make sure we write them in the correct order. So the order pair here is 9, 0, and the order pair here is 0, negative 15, which makes B your answer. On number 5, which equation in standard form has a graph that passes through the point negative 4, 2, and has a slope of 9 over 2. If you look at all of these, they all equal the same thing. So you have two options. You can type all of these into the calculator on a graph page, just like we practiced with number 2, and check for that point, negative 4, 2. Or you could do what I call plug and chug. I'm going to plug my x in, I'm going to plug my y in, and we're going to see what happens. So I have 9x minus 2y, right? Because they're all the same. And if I say 9 times negative 4, because that's the x value, minus 2 times 2 because that's the y value, and I go to a calculator page and I type it in, 9 times negative 4 minus 2 times 2, and I get negative 40. So since this equals negative 40, that makes C my answer. Okay, on number 6. Which equation is equivalent to 3x minus 4y equals 20? Equivalent means which one is exactly the same. It just looks different. So we practiced solving for y last week, where we draw a brick wall, box in the y. We need to make a zero pair, so minus 3x on both sides. Negative 4y equals, these are not like terms, so I write 20 minus 3x, and then we divide every term by negative 4. So this means y equals 20 divided by negative 4 is negative 5. Two negatives here make a positive 3/4 x. Almost wrote the wrong number. Okay, so if I were to flip that around, I keep the 3/4 positive with the x, and I keep the 5 negative. So my answer was A. All right, and then on number 7, which graph represents this equation? This is just a matter of going to a graph page and typing it in. So we delete the equal sign, pick a relation, and I have negative 3x plus 5y equals negative 15. We graph it and see which one matches, and the only one that looks the same is letter B. It's going up. It crosses at positive 5 on the x and negative 3 on the y. You could have also, hey, if I cover this up and divide, my y is negative 3. Well, negative 3, that one's negative 3. That would have eliminated these two. And then if I cover up my 5 and I divide by negative 3, I get positive 5. So this one doesn't cross at positive 5, but this one does.